What up? All right. 2 days in a row after being sick. So I guess we're winning, right? Let's start with a video. It's always fun to start with reacting to a video. And this is again sent by my wife, which is maybe a hit or a miss. We'll see. Immediately. Hey, thanks Les for the follow. All right, let's see. So right-wing media attacks young women for voting Democrats.
Women in this country have become a very scary demographic. 84% of young women in New York voted for Mamdani. They voted to make the city dramatically less safe for themselves.
There is a young woman problem, and I think the question is, how do you bring young people in? And I have a...
Should we let this person answer first?
Theory, by the way. If I was leading the conservative movement, I would say encourage marriage early. You'll get more conservative. Okay,
I have a better idea. How about you don't select as your candidates known sexists, known sexual assaulters, sexual offenders, sex offenders, scumbags, people who talk down on women, people who talk down on young women. Like, if you do those things... Hey, Jutta, thanks for the 27 months. If you do those things, I think you will get some young votes. If you treat women as equal, you would get young voters. But if you don't do that, then they vote Democrats, because we know that Republicans don't treat women as equal. Hey, thanks for the sub. So, yeah, Republicans have a problem. And the problem is their party is filled with old men who fantasizes the good old days where you can treat women as you want to. But lucky for everyone, young women around the world, not just in the United States, has realized that, hey, we aren't second-class citizens. We are equal to our male counterparts. And that's a really good thing. The uprising of women. And women have more power nowadays in politics than I think a lot of them still realize, because they are gonna be the ones that can swing the vote, because men are kind of stupid when it comes to voting. They are like tribal, so they just stick with what they've been doing for years and years on. And women actually think about the future, think about other people than themselves. So women have arguably more power in politics nowadays than men. And especially because, like, over half of the population is women. So that's why it's wild that Trump won, because everybody knows that Trump doesn't give a fuck about women. So...
young women.
If you want to go get young women and you want to convince them because they've all gone insane, young women are actually insane in this country.
It's that type of talk that drives women to vote for Democrats, is when you have Republican talking heads in Fox News and other places calling young women insane or crazy, even though they aren't. They're just looking ahead. They're thinking the bigger picture, and they are not selfish. That's the issue. If you are selfish, you vote Republican. If you aren't selfish, you vote for Democrat.
The figure you don't have that's the scariest is 66% of Democrats now have a favorable view of socialism. And if you skew that to the young, it's much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Over 80% of young women in New York City voted for Mamdani.
Young American women are very much far left, and they are buying into all of that. But they have been since, well, some of them since they were young little girls.
Yeah, I find that very frightening.
One of the demographic groups that Republicans, have traditionally struggled with, female voters, 18 to 29, 84% voted for Mamdani, 79% voted Spanberger, 81% for Mikey Sherrill. What the heck is going on with
yeah, this is like far left. Yeah, far left is a funny thing to say. And this is kind of beating the dead horse, but like the reason why 18 to 29-year-old female vote Democrats isn't because they're insane or because they're far left or because they're crazy. It's because the right wing, the Republicans, have a discussion around the subject like this. They are framing that they are somehow radical or insane or not stable. If you want votes, you wouldn't call your voters that, right? If I would want people to vote me, the one thing I wouldn't call them is crazy. If I was a politician.
Female voters, especially young female voters.
There is a, surge of conservatism, but it's with American young men. There is a huge gender gap when it comes to politics. I'm not surprised at all that young women went incredibly left. I think that young women, it is said, are the most left-wing group in history. And so that just means I have more work to do.
Mercedes, young women in this.
And the funny thing is, like, even though they are talking about Mamdani, and yes, Mamdani is more left than Republicans. But again, it is so intellectually dumb to say that Democrats are far left. Especially, the reason why that's intellectually really stupid to say that is you can anything in a two-party political system. If you want to divide that between those two, there's going to be a right and a left. And you would say that Republicans are a far-right party and the Democrats are a far-left party. But if you take those two parties and you shift them from the United States to anywhere else in the world, you would see that neither of them are in the far edge of the political spectrum. The Republicans are in the far-right party and the Democrats are in the far-left party. Democrats are probably somewhere center-right, and the Republicans would be, the Democrats would be almost at the center, a bit to the right, and also to the liberal side. And the Republicans would be close to the center as well, but on the conservative side, which is above the line. Do I need to pull up the Finnish? Let's use this as an example, because this is the best way of like trying to explain this to people who don't understand what I'm talking about, or haven't really given any thought about that there's more nuances when it comes to politics than just left or right. So if we take Republicans and Democrats and we ignore all of these, and on the left, of course, you have the left, you have the right wing, you have the conservatives up here, and you have the liberals down here. So the only difference between Democrats and Republicans would be that Republicans would be more towards the conservative side and the Democrats would be more towards the liberal side. Neither of them would be on the left side of the middle axis here. Neither of them is left-wing. Even the Democrats isn't left-wing. And that's something that's probably super hard to hear if you're American, but because you want to demonize your opposition, you want to say that, yeah, they are the far left, they are fucking socialists and such. No, they're not. No, they're not. Definitely not. Both of them are right-wing parties. The only difference is the other one is a bit more liberal than the other one is a bit more conservative. That's about it. That's the only difference that those two parties have. How much more conservative depends on the politician you have. And how much more liberal. Well, Mamdani would be quite liberal down here. I think Mamdani would probably even be on the left side of the middle axis. But it wouldn't be considered far left. Fuck no. So hopefully that taught something to the people from America, that there's more nuances when it comes to politics than left wing and right wing. And female voters, young female voters in the United States voting more towards Democrats makes more sense. If I was a woman in America, I would never vote for Republicans. until they clean up their party from all of those fucking scumbags and sleazebags. Those who believe that the only place that women should be is at home, taking care of your kids and making sure there's food on the table, waiting when the husband comes from home from work. So until they clean all of those from the party, if I was a woman in America, I would never vote for Republicans, because that sort of an old school way of thinking is not reflecting on the year 2025. But it will never happen, not in our lifetime. I don't think so either. Definitely not, because there's like asshats like J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth coming, who are relatively younger than the core of the Republican Party, who share those like ultra conservative views that a woman's place is at home with the kids while the man works, which is stupid. And that's the difference. Like, difference between like a liberal thinker and a conservative thinker is, if I could stay home, take care of the house and the kids and everything, and my wife made enough so I wouldn't need to work, I would 100% take that. Fuck yeah. That's the dream. Having a sugar mama or a sugar daddy. If she wants to pursue her career and she makes enough to take care of the whole family, and I need to just take care of the household, so why not? SD Prince, what up? There's nothing wrong with that. At least not in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm undercover in MAGA. I signed up for emails from Trump's camp.
Oh my God, these are hilarious. I've seen some of these emails that they sent to registered voters for Trump, asking for money, begging for money.
Team, Trump's campaign team. And here are the 9 emails that they sent yesterday. Karen, can we be honest with each other? I want to do an interview with you. Yes, my name really is Karen, by the way. Honesty he seeks is, do you have 2 minutes to provide some feedback, praise and constructive advice? How am I doing? For most of these questions, the answers are provided.
Do you believe that President Trump is the best president of all time? It doesn't even specify the best president of the United States of all time. It just says president of all time. And if we're talking about the best president of all time, I don't think Trump, like globally, I don't think Trump even cracks the top 20, top 50 maybe. Because we have to remember that there's a lot of presidents. Top 100, maybe. We could take like the past like 4 presidents of Finland, for example, and they would all rank higher than Trump. As when we're like evaluating the quality of a politician, and in this case a president. Do you believe our country is headed in the right direction? Yes, MAGA. No. I mean, if the direction is like chaos around the world, then yes. But if the goal is to make America economically stable and also having good relations with the world, then I would say no. Should we reject globalism and replace it with patriotism or something like that? Probably. Why isn't there a MAGA there?
Do you believe that Donald Trump is the best president of all time? Yes, MAGA, or no? Sorry. And to submit these questions to the president?
Should we defend parents' right and protect kids from liberal indoctrination? Okay, calm the fuck down. And the funny thing is, if you want to submit this fucking form that they sent you in the email, you need to pay Trump.
You have to make a minimum donation of $20.25. I miss you. Let's talk. I miss you so much. Wow, are you ignoring me? This is so normal from a president, isn't it? Before 2026 begins, I need to know we're still on the same page. I've been messing you privately, but you haven't answered. Are you seriously ignoring me? I thought we were closer than that. So my team set up a 60-second confidential interview. Nobody else will see your answers. This is just between us. The interview is...
Take Trump interview. Take Trump... take Trump interview. What? How would you rate my performance and leadership through the year? Why, if this is like supposed to be on the perspective of Trump, why is he referring himself on the third person and then on the first person? Like, doesn't really make sense. Poor, fair, good, excellent, truly great. What? Shouldn't excellent be like the best, not truly great? Truly great should be between good and excellent, right? This fucking scale doesn't make any sense, and there is not a horrible section there, which would be the correct answer.
How much do you love me? A couple more stupid questions.
What is the single accomplishment from this year that made you the most proud to be a supporter? Trump made it okay to be really stupid publicly. This is made by someone sort of a commercial social media guru, probably. I think the biggest accomplishment that Trump made in 2025 is being proud of being stupid publicly. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least like stupid people can be proud now that they don't need to hide it anymore and they don't need to be ashamed of it. Like, if you don't know math, that's okay, because the president of the United States doesn't know math either. If you don't know how to pronounce all the words, that's also fine, which is great for a non-English speaker. It's like seeing the president of the United States not knowing English words. Also, if you're a bully, for example, so Trump made a lot of accomplishments when it comes to like bully behavior. So if you could give me, President Trump, one direct piece of advice for the next year, what would it be? Speak less, I think. That would be great. Think first. One piece of advice. I don't know. I have a few pieces of advice. One would be speak less. Like, you don't need to answer everything with a lie if you don't know the answer 100%. That's something, if you're wondering what I'm talking about. If you ever see a reporter asking Trump something that Trump doesn't know, he always pretends that he knows something, even though he doesn't. Like, he might say first that I have never heard about that, and then he adds, but they are doing a great job. Like, no, you should have said that I don't know anything about this. I will come back to you when I know more about this. But no, it's always, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard about this. Yeah, they're doing an excellent job. They're doing the best job ever. Like, no, just stop fucking talking. Trump needs a person standing next to Trump saying that, hey, Mr. President, you need to shut the fuck up now. You're talking too much. And I think one would be also to change the color of his makeup. That would also be like, try to go something more natural instead of that pumpkin orange. That would also be. And I would recommend Trump to do some exercises as well. Maybe change his diet from McDonald's, because clearly he's having problems with his heart. So changing his diet from completely fast food and Diet Cokes to something a bit more healthier would be great. Sign here for secure submission. Donate before midnight. And then again, if you want to give these advices to Trump, you need to pay $20.26, which is 2026.
And a donation. He then reached out to ask me to take a look. It's a it's a Christmas ornament.
Probably made in China again.
That you can buy. He hopes to see pictures of it. And you can get your own for only $47, but you're welcome to pay more if you would like.
God damn. $47 for a MAGA Christmas ornament.
And you can look, it's a
$47 for a MAGA Christmas ornament that you can probably find like way less from Temu. I would pay €1.51 for that. Oh no, this is better. Can we get them kissing? That would be hilarious. This is the same place that the President of the United States gets his prison ornaments as well. What about this one? I did that toilet paper. How much tariffs? Does it say? Some of these products usually say that how much it's going to cost, but I don't think this does. It's going to be quite a lot, though.
It's a Christmas ornament that you can buy. He hopes to see pictures of it. And you can get your own for only $47, but you're welcome to pay more if you would like. Uh-oh, this is my final chance. I am Donald Trump. But he has a secret offer. Let's see what it is. Ooh, the Diamond Club. Final hour to accept my spot. I better hurry. And I can become a Diamond member for a minimum $25. And then he says, hello. Before I sign your name on your tariff check, is Karen spelled right? Confirm my check. But is he sending me cash or is it a check? I'm not sure. So to answer the question, would I accept a tariff rebate check signed by Trump?
Would you accept the tariff rebate check signed by Trump? Signed by... Why? Doesn't that come from the Secretary of State instead of Trump? Is he gonna use an autopen to sign all of those? Again, if you want your tariff rebate check, you need to pay $20.25.
I have to donate $20.25 to say yes or no. Ho, ho, ho. Toronto Dump is rolling out his official nice list that you can buy your way onto. Look at the picture they chose, though. It looks like he's rotting. We will get a special...
Fourth World Monks 2,300-mile walk for peace, mate.
To die for their country.
Are Gen Z willing to die for their country? Fuck, I'm a millennial and even I'm not ready to die for my country. Does that make me a horrible person?
That's the question as Germany calls on a new generation to be ready to fight. Russia's war in Ukraine has forced Berlin to look at ways to boost its military in case of attack.
I think it's up to people to choose whether they want to defend Germany at all or not.
Would you?
Personally, no, I would not defend this government.
None of us want to die for a country that doesn't really care about us.
This gathering is part of a national protest.
I don't think, like, okay, that maybe it's because, like, well, everybody has the right for their own opinion, but I would even extend that a bit more by saying that I'm not willing to die for any country, whether or not they care about us. I'm not the most, like, patriotic person there is, but if a country is at war, because I make home wherever I live, so, for example, now I've been living in Ireland for 3 years, so this is my home. This is my home now. Would I go and fight for Finland? No. And what if Ireland goes to war? Well, I'll find another country to live in. I wouldn't fight for Ireland either. Well, that also goes because I'm a pacifist, so I'm not willing to kill anyone. So fuck that. I think there shouldn't be any wars. And wars are driven by greed and old people. So fuck greed and old people.
Of students evidence against a return to conscription. It's after Germany's parliament agreed on a new plan to revamp military service. While there isn't an immediate return to conscription, from January, all 18-year-olds will be sent a questionnaire about their willingness to serve. Men will have to fill it in. If the government doesn't get enough volunteers in the future, in times of war, it could trigger conscription. A big worry for many here.
From my friends, actually no one wants to volunteer because we don't want to fight for a problem that's not like really ours, because we didn't start the problems, they did.
I'm never going to join the military, and if Germany is attacked, I'll just go somewhere else.
If
There you go.
Germany was attacked then, who do you think should defend Germany if Gen Z don't want to?
Why don't the people that started the war do it? I mean, like, I don't see why
Good point.
the older people shouldn't go to war.
Germany wants to build the strongest conventional army in Europe. They currently have around 182,000
Word.
soldiers, but want to boost that by over 80,000 extra in the next decade.
But that's still not the strongest military in Europe. It's Finland, if we're talking about like headcount. Like the Finnish number's 12 though. Didn't they try that in 1940s and 1980s yet? Yes, they did. $900,000. So Germany, those are rookie numbers. You gotta bump up those numbers. How are you doing today, mate? Did you have a good Christmas? I was sick. And I'm still not 100%, but I'm way better. So yeah, it was still good. Like we played some Cards Against Humanity with my kids and my wife, and I ate a lot. So I think that helped me get over the influenza. But you could probably still hear it from my voice that not 100%, and my nose is not fully opened yet. Same, there's something going around. Hopefully you feel better soon. Yeah, there's been a huge fucking influenza wave here in Ireland. Like half of my colleagues have been like affected by it. Both of my kids are affected. Was affected like month ago, and like it's been in the news and everywhere. But yeah, and probably my wife is now going to be the next one sick. So I was dying till Xmas Eve, and then I started getting slightly better. Yeah, I was dying on Boxing Day, 26th still. So yesterday. Well, not dying, but yesterday I still had like a full-on runny nose and still had a fever. But like it got way better the closer I got to the evening. And this morning was the first morning I woke up that I wasn't like covered in sweat, which is kind of nice. You know that. Oh, so it'll be better before the Third World War. You never know. It might be that Trump is gonna try and make that happen sooner than later.
Volunteers are being offered incentives like a monthly wage of more than €2,000. And there's no time to lose. Despite Moscow's denials, many generals predict Russia could be in a position to hit a NATO country by 2029. Do you not feel that you need to help defend Germany?
I think like we already saw that it might not be Russia that hits the NATO country first. Like it might be fucking United States, considering like they are talking about annexing Greenland. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the next 19 minutes. Could be. Like, I mean, yeah, Trump wakes up from his day nap a bit cranky and decides to start the war and take Greenland. Yeah, I think it's now a race between the Russians and the Americans. Like, who is gonna hit NATO first? Is the United States gonna betray their allies? Or is Russia going to do what Russia has been doing for the past? When was Georgia? 2008. So since 2008. Just Interesting question. We all know who will hit first. Do we? Do we? I do think it's Trump. I think Trump has a fixation on Greenland and he's not going to give in. And it's probably going to be because Hexet is drunk. Anyway, I got to get to work, so have a good one, mate. Hey, thanks for dropping by, Lando. Have a great day at work. Ireland's military count is 13,500 persons.
No, I don't feel that way. I think there's always a way to have like diplomatic talks and try
Toothpaste
to
or
solve
orange just tastes
this
better than
conflict
chocolate. Always. It always
human
tastes better than
way.
chocolate.
And I don't want to defend a country that I don't stand for.
A country being able to attack
Rufik?
isn't the same as a country planning to attack.
So you don't think Russia's a danger to Germany?
It could be, maybe. However, I think there's more issues, especially like social-wise.
And Germany aren't the only ones looking for reinforcement. Last month, France announced a new military service for over 18s. Currently, 10 EU countries already have compulsory military service, while others like Belgium, the Netherlands and Germany are opting for voluntary schemes. And so currently 10 EU...
Oh, originally I thought there was Norway on that list, and that's why I stopped, because I know that Norway has a private military, so... But Norway wasn't on that list. For some reason I thought that Norway was also red, but... Yeah, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia. Kind of makes sense. We kind of need that. You see this border? That border is with the beast from the east. So when you have a long border with them like that, you kind of want to be prepared.
Already have compulsory military service, while others like Belgium, the
Mora.
Netherlands
What up,
and
Captain Slug?
Germany are opting for voluntary schemes. And so far, whereas older people largely back conscription. At this protest, we only met one person who would reluctantly fight.
When we are attacked, then yes, but when we are attacking someone, some other countries, then no, not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be willing to do that anyways. Like, even if we're attacked or being attacked or be the ones attacking, I wouldn't be willing to join the battle. Some might call me a coward because of that, but it's just my own beliefs of pacifism. This is the most recent attack from Russia towards Kyiv. This is what it looks like when a country wants to make peace. That's definitely something that they do, is bomb the capital city of the other country. Zelenskyy to hold talks with European leaders amid fresh strikes on Kyiv. Attacks leave hundreds of thousands in the city without hitting as Ukraine leaders prepares for flurry of weakened diplomacy. A third of Kyiv is without heating after a Russian drone and missile barrage of the Ukrainian capital cut off power supplies, leaving hundreds of thousands of people facing freezing temperatures. You know what that is called? It's called a war crime. Civilian targets targeting infrastructure, knowingly targeting infrastructure that is for electricity and heating and those basic necessities. That is called a war crime. And it is appalling that we even educate on an idea that this war criminal is getting what he wants. It's fucking sickening and disgusting that we are thinking of, well, not we, but Trump is thinking of giving this war criminal what he wants. There's never going to be peace in Europe as long as Putin is in power. So this might be the only chance we have for a long time to put him in his place and show that this is not acceptable. Although There is a reason why Trump doesn't do that and try to force it, of course. There is also blame on EU as well, because the European nations haven't really played hardball so far. They have started to do that now, but it's a bit late, to be fair. But yeah, 100% we shouldn't like let this fly. And there is an easy solution for the war. The war would immediately end if Russia fucked off back to its own territory. That's it. They attacked Ukraine without provocation. They should return all the territory back to Ukraine. Pay for the fixing of Ukraine. And that's it. Of course, like, hold fair elections immediately after the ending of the war. Good solution, yeah. Like I ever since 2014, I called this situation similar to Georgia, which it is. And when Georgia happened, nobody did anything. And now this. So it's a wild time to be alive, because everybody around the world is just watching how these military mights are doing acts of war crimes in plain view, and nobody's doing jack shit about it. It's not just Russia that's doing them, it's Israel as well. Just attacking neighboring countries, killing tens of thousands of civilians, women and children. It's the United States stealing oil tankers and oil from Venezuela. And I think people are just so fucking numb to the death and destruction that we see on a daily basis, have been seeing for a good decade or so, that we don't even know this. Well, some of us do who follow the news quite thoroughly. But many of people who I talk to doesn't even know half of the things going on, because it's happening so frequently, all the time, everywhere, that you just come numb. And that's a dangerous place to be, because then these countries can do shit like this. Attack a capital city without provocation again. Money, money, money. We should have just taken all their money and any holdings in Europe. The elite would start to resent Putin very fast. I might be autistic or something, but for me, reality right now, not much different from the Middle Ages. Rulers, kings, wars, alliances, etc. It's all Game of Thrones always been, right? But we expect it not to be. Agree. And there are a lot of people, even in my comments, in my YouTube shorts and in Facebook, when I said that when I asked the question, when's the last peaceful decade? That's a really fun question to ask. When was the last peaceful decade? And I can tell you that you need to go quite far back in history. Throughout the I think it was like 5,000 years of recorded human history, there's only been under 300 individual years that hasn't had a armed conflict, which is a really, really, really low percentage if you think about that. Thousands of years and only a handful of years hasn't had an armed conflict. And we think we're evolved. We think we are smarter than we were 100 years ago. But we really aren't that much smarter. We're still doing the same shit that we did 100 years ago. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. We are the same animal now as them. Yeah. And a lot of people in my comments say that that's just human nature. It's just human nature to kill. It's just human nature to fight wars and conquer and take land and steal and like... I say that's fucking bullshit. I think it's greed. Like, that was also the argument for slavery, because it was human nature to own slaves. But we stopped that as well. Of course, there are still countries that do that. For example, Dubai. Not Dubai. Dubai is not a country, but like the United Arab Emirates are doing slavery still. It's not a form of slavery. It is literally slavery. Then that's how they built Dubai. Qatar is also another country that does that. Trump betrayed Zelenskyy big time. 100%. It's because Daddy Putin needs favors. I blame Trump. Yeah. I hold not just Trump, but the leaders of the United States accountable when it comes to countries doing shit like this. Like, even president before Trump, we have to remember that the conflict in Gaza started like in the 50s. And we have to remember that Russia started their aggression in the midst of 2000s. So there's been a lot of presidents throughout a lot of conflicts around the world. And of course, the United States isn't a world governing police or world peace police or anything like that, but they do have the most say when it comes to international relations. And if the United States is just looking by or even funding or even enabling these sort of acts, they are as much responsible than the people pulling the trigger. Case in point, what has been going on in the Israel-Palestine crisis since the 50s. And this is, again, it's not just Trump, it's the American presidents throughout the years. All of the deaths of civilian women and children, the presidents have blood in their hands for funding it and enabling it. The same is like when Russia does shit like this to Kyiv, and Trump is willing to provide them with the territories that they stole from Ukraine. Well, Trump is rewarding a war criminal for doing acts like this. It's not negotiating peace, it is rewarding them. Well, culture and norms does also play in. There are still primal tribes in Africa who eat the heart of their enemies. Is that culture human nature? Yeah. Exactly. Like, human nature is... we've been evolving and adapting and surviving throughout our existence. That is human nature, is to adapt. So why the fuck can't we adapt and come together as a species and decide that, hey, killing and wars are good things? Could we fucking stop that? Nobody should have nuclear weapons because they could destroy the whole fucking world. Could we stop that? Like, it just angers me so much to see all of this death around the world. Especially in like civilized countries. Western countries. But humans are a lot softer now as compared to ancient times on average. Are they though? Maybe they seem softer because we use technology to wipe out more. But if you look at numbers, we kill way more people yearly. We don't chop heads anymore. Yeah, we don't have public executions, we don't use guillotines, we don't do public hangings or anything. But with the press of a button, we can wipe out a city of tens of thousands. I think in some sense, we are actually more brutal because we don't care if a city of 10,000 people gets wiped out as much as we would have cared hundreds of years ago. Yeah. So, because there's so many people and there's so much death going around The saddest thing about this is a really touchy topic, but remember the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Bear with me. I have a point here. How many of you knows or knew during when Charlie Kirk was assassinated that there was a school shooting in Colorado at the same time where 3 kids got killed? No news coverage. Imagine being a parent of those children who got massacred again in a school shooting. One of many in America. And you don't get a condolence letter from the president. You don't get any flowers sent to you. You don't even get a news headline or anything. Because your kids don't matter. Because a celebrity died. And because we've had too many school shootings in the United States. So nobody cares about that anymore. That's how much death there is. The ironic thing is, I was monitoring the Colorado school shooting. I was reading about that. When Charlie Kirk news broke out. Of course, then I found out that Charlie Kirk was actually shot like an hour or two before I found out. But I was reading that school shooting, and I was like, I think that was school shooting number, it was in the hundreds, if I remember correctly. But there is so much death and so much suffering going around the world at the moment that, yeah, we're not as barbaric as we used to be as a species, but we sure as hell don't care about death as much anymore. It's just numbers and statistics. Just like in Finland, we're talking about people who are dying in Midsummer's Eve. Like, back in the 80s, back in the 90s, when people died in Midsummer's Eve, it was actually a huge headline. But because every year there's people who's drunk and drowned or killed themselves during Midsummer's Eve. And now it's just numbers on like a small print in the papers. Not even a print. I think last year they didn't even report that. Because it's just such a casual thing that every year in Midsummer's Eve, somebody dies. That's a celebration in Finland on the last weekend of June. We build a big bonfire and we drink a lot, and like it's a 2-3 day binge drunk fest. And yeah, it's just, imagine being those like friends or relatives or if you're a parent of one of those people who died, because nobody cares anymore. You're just your loved one, the person you cared about, is just a statistic. And that's, for example, I saw a horrific woman talking about children dying in schools in Gaza. And the number was like tens of thousands. So the woman's argument back was, well, that's just like 0.97 people per building. And that's a really good example again of like how we treat death. I don't think it's natural or healthy for the human animal to upload all the input of death, chaos, and murder that happens all over the world, even in our own country. Easy to lose focus on what's in front of you. I think it's okay. That's a good point. The reason that I think that it's a good thing to know is that we acknowledge that there is an issue that is causing the death going around, and then we can affect it in our own ways. Some might just read it and be like, okay, well, that's interesting. Others might affect how you vote for people who could promise a change to that specific issue that's causing the death to happen. So that's why I think it's really good to report those things. We definitely do. There are people who are completely like giving up hope on anything because of like the excessive amount of reporting when it comes to death and suffering around the world. There are people who walk away from news and things going around the world because they don't want to read another bad news outlet. And of course, the media overemphasizes death and destruction because those drive clicks and that generates revenue for them. There's a lot of people that refuse to read news at all anymore. 100%. And I have to say that I'm one of those people who hate to, whenever that Mango Mussolini opens his mouth, that's all that the news write. Of course, that's good content for us to have a discussion around and blah, blah, blah. But it is super annoying that a lot of the news nowadays, throughout 2025, has been revolving around that orange baboon. I have heard that Nordic countries' Vikings butchered English many centuries ago. They were pretty much savages, but now we see they are so civilized and developed. Yes. Nordic countries like Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Okay, rest up. Now, that question stopped me on my tracks, and you need to thread carefully. I don't have issues with any religion. I got a question in Twitch. Where do you stand on the Jewish question? I don't have issues with any religion. I think I'm not a religious person myself, and people can believe what they want to. When they start acting on that religion and committing heinous crimes, whatever the religion is, that's where I have issue. You are for the love. I do have issues with countries and governments and leaders, not religion. So that's a interesting way of phrasing. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Because the way you phrased that was 90s, 30s German. So that's why I said that you need to tread carefully with the question. But it's a good thing to reiterate and make my stand clear again, which is I don't think badly of any religion. And I only have issues with governments, leaders, and countries. I separate those. I don't think, based on what the United States is doing, Christians are bad. Plan on moving back to the motherland? I have no plans of moving back to the motherland. Yeah, it's Nordic, but Finnish, we're not Vikings. Yeah, Finns are more like shamans, wood people, forest people. Not like. Okay, that's an AI portrait, but literally, like Same. Living off the land. Can you speak Swedish? I think I still know some Swedish, but not that much. Not so much that I'm comfortable of talking Swedish, though. We are not Vikings. I've heard that Finnish can drink a lot. We do have the ability to drink quite a lot. The funny thing about like the original Finns back in the Viking era was like we were hired by all sides, the Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish Vikings, to help them with their internal struggles and fights. Worked with Finns for many years. One thing I have to say about my fellow Finns is that our reputation of being good workers is something that I'm really proud of. And that's something that I hear from because I work in a multicultural company, and there's a lot of we have a lot of offices around the world, and one thing that they share is that every single Finn that they've ever worked with or interacted with has been one of the hardest working people or persons in the company or in that project. Strong, silent, loyal, 100%. I was in north of Finland. They drink really hard. That is true. That is true. And that's one thing that my American boss really appreciates as well. Is I don't when she comes that something needs to be done, she comes to me, because if we had a hard deadline, which is coming really sudden, I don't say that I don't know if that's possible. I'll say that I will make sure that that's going to happen. And well, I don't always meet that criteria, but I'll do my best, and she knows that. So, and I think it comes naturally as well, because that's something that we've been taught ever since we were young. Why do something if you're not willing to give 100% on it, you know? And I think that's also related to the sisu thing that we have, which is, it's not courage, but it's kind of pushing forward even though you're getting sucked by the swamp. Even though your legs are already halfway in the quicksand, you're still pushing forwards because you have to. Somebody's relying on you. Not hyping up our fellow countrymen to be superhuman, but we are kind of loyal subject when it comes to that. We respect authority, and we do what is asked of us. We might bitch about it, especially after a few drinks. That is something we do really well. Is complain about things one day when we're drunk, but go and execute it the next day when we're sober. What is your take on US hegemony on the world with recent airstrikes in Nigeria? Well, glad you asked about Nigeria, because I have Nigeria in my mind. So, Nigeria was an interesting, because the original targets were ISIS targets. Okay. And the reason why yesterday when I was talking about this in the stream was I wanted to wait until I find out more, because what Trump tweets is not always completely true. So I wanted to make sure that I have some sources before I talk about the topic. And then the Nigerian official statement came out that they were actually working together with the United States. And I was like, okay, we can have a discussion about this. Then I started to find out that, hey, there's some questions looming around, what the hell did they hit, though? Originally, they said that they hit ISIS targets, which is a good thing. ISIS is a terrorist organization, and ISIS has been wreaking havoc around the world. So yeah, that's kind of nice. And ISIS is working together with Boko Haram to harass local Christians and Muslims and abducting children, and it's been a plague in Nigeria. But now, apparently, even the Nigerian officials don't really know what was hit, or if anything was hit at all. Because we're over 24 hours after the strikes, and we still don't have any head count or anything, how many were killed, what were their affiliations with ISIS. And there's been a lot of reports of people living in the villages that there was some collateral damages, there were some missiles that didn't go off, all of that good jazz. Nigeria will not go against the USA. Probably not. But Nigeria does have something that the USA wants. So what Nigeria has that is interesting, yeah, I think you guessed it. It's the same thing that Venezuela has. I'm not saying that this is affecting the decision on helping or not helping, but we've seen in the past that oil kind of dictates where the United States wants to participate in delivering their freedom. It was the reason they went to Iraq. It was the reason why they went to Syria, Libya, a lot of other countries, and even Venezuela. They even stole oil from Venezuela, and a few oil tankers as well. So oil is still the number one reason why the United States is doing what they're doing. And I think that could be also one of the reasons why they are actually kind of interested in Nigeria. Also probably the reason why they want Canada to become the 51st state. And also to just fuck with the Canadian. Because, yeah, we know that that's never going to happen. And that's probably just like Trump's some four-dimensional chess tactics. Abuja, Nigeria, day after part of a missile fired by the United States hit their village, landing just meters from its only medical facility. The people of Jabo in northwestern Nigeria are in a state of shock and confusion. Suleiman Kagara, a resident of this quiet and prominently Muslim farming community in Dambuwal district of Sokoto state, told CNN he heard a loud blast and saw flames as projectiles flew overhead at around 10 p.m. on Thursday. Soon after, it came crashing down, exploding on impact with the ground and sending the villagers fleeing in fear. We couldn't sleep last night, Karaga said. Kara did not realize it at the time, but what he was witnessing was part of the US strike that President Trump would later refer to as Christmas present for terrorists. Not long after the impact in Jabo, Trump declared on Thursday that the US had carried out a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS militants in the region who he accused of targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. According to the US Africa Command, the operation neutralized multiple ISIS militants, but Trump's explanation had left Kakara and his fellow villagers scratching their heads. While parts of Sokoto faced challenges with banditry, kidnappings, and attack by armed group, including Lakurava, which Nigeria classifies as a terrorist organization due to the suspect affiliations with ISIS. Villagers say Jabo is not known for terrorist activity and that local Christians coexist peacefully with the Muslim majority. They want Greenland also. Well, they want Greenland also with the same reasons, though. When and if you have time, it would be very interesting to pick your brain about the world. Well, we're picking my brain about the world all the time. In Jabo, we see Christians as our brothers. We don't have religious conflicts, so we weren't expecting this, he said. Bashar Isas Jabo, a lawmaker representing Dabuwal in the state parliament, describes the village to CNN as peaceful and community that has not known history of ISIS, Lakurava, or any other terrorist groups operating in the area. He said the projectile had struck the field approximately 500 meters from primary health centers in Jabo, and that while there were no casualties, the incident had caused fear and panic with the community. Wait a fucking second. You have a podcast? Yeah. Always up for it. Nigeria's information ministry later said that the government, in collaboration with the US, had successfully conducted precision strikes targeting ISIS hideouts in the forests of Dangaza district in Sokoto. However, it also noted that during the course of the operation, debris from expended munition fell in Jabo, another area in north-central Kwara states. Through its thrust, there had been no civilian casualties. But the issue here is, like, we don't have anything definitive of, like, what happened and where. There was reportings of, like, shrapnel and missiles that didn't go off. And that's kind of alarming, to be fair. And especially if they're, like, hitting countryside villages that don't have anything to do with ISIS. That means that their intel was shit. Nigeria is the largest oil and gas producer in Africa. Crude oil from the Nigeria Delta Basin. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Captain Slog. But as you can see, there's like shells and like projectiles there buried in the sand. Could be alders also. Doesn't mean that they're American unless they have like, I don't know, Trump's signature in them. Would be hilarious if they had. Why is Pam Bonded trending? What the fuck did she do this time? Pam Bondi is to Donald Trump what Ghislaine Maxwell was to Epstein. 2025 summed up. Pam Bondi hasn't made one significant arrest yet. John June has yet to pass a single safe election law. Mike Johnson hasn't impeached one activist judge. Yeah. It's not that bad. The Minnesota situation is kind of interesting. Did you miss my previous message? Did I miss your previous message? Nigeria will not go against USA is the most previous message of you. Did you message something after that one? Okay, this one. Will you do a stream on how Hindus are being burned alive in Bangladesh by Islamic mobs? I can investigate that. The Bangladesh situation in general is an interesting. I'll put that in my own memo there. Taking notes. Bangladesh is doomed. I mean, they are charging the former prime minister for crimes against humanity for orchestrating the killings of 1,500 students during the Bangladesh protest that they had. Then they drove her out of the country, and now she's in exile in India. So Hasina is now in exile in India, and I haven't seen that she has returned to Bangladesh yet. But yeah, she was charged and convicted of crimes against humanity and sentenced to death. So whenever she goes back to Bangladesh, she's gonna be executed. Which is like, if you kill and is responsible for killing 1,500 students, there should be like consequences. In my opinion, I don't believe in death penalty, so the jail sentence should have been enough. But we'll see what happens if she ever goes back to. But yeah, Bangladesh is an interesting situation because they also had that Gen Z uprising. that led to that. No, I was talking about during. That was before she was exiled. And that was during the protest that they had. But yeah, I can investigate on the Hindus being burned alive in Bangladesh by Islamic mobs. 100%. There's a lot of things going on in that specific region. India is another one that I'm currently investigating a bit more when it comes to the censorship that Modi inflicts on Indian citizens. That's an interesting topic as well that I've been studying and reading about. That's a textbook example of like how to control. Take your time. I wanted to share a story of protest if you want. Go ahead. But yeah, Modi is a perfect example of like how to control people by limiting the amount of information that is available. So I'm doing some investigating when it comes to that as well. And especially because in the Western world, it can show that the citizens and the people of India is agreeing with that, just because the information that's coming out is limited as well. But slowly but surely, the young people in India are starting to use platforms to their advantage to get that information out, which is really, really, really beneficial. So a lot of people in the Western world are starting to wake up that, hey, there's something going on that we don't know, and we need to investigate a bit more. Then we have a lot of my YouTube chatters' favorite country doing shit. Yeah, you have to dig deep when it comes to India. We have our chatter's favorite country, Poland, doing stuff again. Poland has been like the #1 favorite country in the chat for a long time. So Poland preparing a €2 billion anti-drone fortification along its eastern border amid Russia threat. And I have to say, a W move again by Poland. Showing the middle finger to Russia like, come at me, bro. Deputy Defense Minister says new air defense system will be completed in 24 months. Hopefully it's fast enough. Poland plans to complete a new set of anti-drone fortifications along its eastern border with 2 years, a top defense officials has said after a massive incursion of unnamed Russian aerial combat vehicles in Polish airspace earlier this year. A Hindu college student was active against Hasina protests. She was woke after protest Islamist mobs with students who protested with her. Yeah, channel 6990 don't worry, even though you can't see your own comments in YouTube, I can still see it, so I just copy pasted in my own notes. And I do understand why it was censored by YouTube. But I can still see it though. We expect to have the first capabilities of the system in roughly 6 months, perhaps even sooner, and the full system will take 24 months to complete. The Deputy Defense Minister Cezary Tomczyk told The Guardian in an interview in Warsaw. Tomczyk said the new air defense system would be integrated into an older line of protection constructed a decade ago. He said it would involve different layers of defense, including machine guns, cannon and missiles, and drone jamming systems. Some of this is for use only in extreme war conditions. For example, these multi-barrel machine guns are difficult to use in peacetime, because everything that goes up must go down. That Modi censorship, I can give you some context, brother. Trust me, Modi censorship is nothing. Majority of social media is controlled by US influence officers. That's why there's usually like a few sites you need to look into when it comes to investigating countries that aren't your own. And for example, when I was talking about the Philippines situation or the Nepal situation, of course, there's like multiple layers to that. But yeah, Modi, I wouldn't say it's nothing, but yeah, it is quite heavy though compared to like a lot of other countries. But 100% like there's Western influence when it comes to India. But there's also financial interest by Modi to censor them as well. Well, Modi did ban and has banned quite a few documentaries, TV programs, even YouTube videos from X and other platforms as well, because they weren't favorable for his administration. There's even documents about this, that Elon Musk censored BBC documentaries about Modi from X. So users in India who used X, formerly known as Twitter, couldn't find those BBC documentaries because Elon Musk made sure that those aren't shown because Modi asked so. But yeah, like there's corruption in a lot of around the world, and there's usually like once you find what's the angle why something is happening, you can actually like really easily trickle down like the root cause of the issue. But when it comes to foreign nations and different countries, you really need to figure out like find all the different variables. It's not anti-Indian culture if it's against Modi. Then that was a documentary about Modi, not Indian culture though. And I have friends who live in India who are Indian, and like I wouldn't make a blanket statement that majority of them are banned. Usually when they criticize the government, they are banned. That's one thing that I have, like, which is a good thing, is I have people who are actually who live in Mumbai and in Kashmir that tells me stuff that I wouldn't know otherwise, which is really nice. I have that like local cultural expertise when it comes to that. And they're not huge fans of the government though. They think that I'm a bigger fan of their government than they are. And I can't say I'm a fan of any government though. That's why I'm always rooting for the young people to make an uprise. Because the young people have better understanding. They're not that selfish, you know. Many supports. Hey Restop, thanks for the follow. Many supports banning of those videos. The problem with media is that they don't post videos against gigantic corruptions of India. They show half-truths and mostly against Hindus. But again, like, this goes back to what I was talking about when I was asked, like, what is my opinion about the Jewish people? Like, I don't have issues with any religion. So when I'm talking about governments or countries or cultures, I separate the religion and the government and the country. And that's why I don't have issues with any religion. I have issues with governments and countries. Opposition in India are more corrupt than ruling Modi. Well, That's where we need to have the both sides of it. And that's where, like, when the investigating, if these claims are true when it comes to like the corruption of Modi and the ties that Modi has when it comes to like Russia and others, not just like diplomatic ties, but financial ties with the oligarchs in Russia. This is where the investigation comes in. Like, you need to look on both sides of the aisle. And it's the same like argument that a lot of countries say that we're not as corrupt as the opposition. And that's a claim that a lot of countries do. For example, in Slovakia, when they had that protest, they're claiming that the opposition is corrupt. Russia is the same thing. A lot of different countries have that. And usually it's really hard to be unbiased if you have a relation in that country. That's why when you're looking at a country or their government, or if one side is more corrupt than the other, it helps if you look at from the outside perspective, because you don't have any stake on that specific country. And that's why I feel like I'm in a privileged situation, because I have interest in a lot of different countries around the world, and I can view all of those cases unbiasedly. Because I don't have any stake in India, I don't have any stake in Bangladesh, I don't have any stake in Philippines, Nigeria, Slovakia, United States, Venezuela. I don't have any biases when it comes to like viewing those situations. And that's not something a person who lives in Venezuela can say, because of course when they live in Venezuela they have bias towards one or the other side. When you're living in India, of course you have a bias either to the sitting government or the opposition. I mean, if you live in Philippines, it's the same thing. Do you believe in Jews' safety around the world? I believe every single human being should be safe around the world. That's where, like, that's not an argument that really I don't care if a government is the most pick your religion favored or pick your religion hating government that they are, because I don't value religion that much. I value human life more than religion. So if, for example, the Irish government is more Christian loving and the opposition would be more Islamic favoring, I don't really care. Religion and politics should be kept separate. Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of like mixing those two things up. Of course, this is where culture comes into play. There are cultures where politics and religion will mix, but those are not countries and governments that I can agree with. If you mix religion, doesn't mean that I can't like separate my own opinion about it. Then I just need to take that cultural differentiator into consideration when it comes to that. You know, then I need to like evaluate that whole situation differently than I normally would. For example, when I'm talking about things happening in the United States, no one, and I mean no one, is talking about Trump acting on behalf of all Christians, even though they want to play that they are a Christian country, but a lot of things they do is anti-Christian. And it is an easy way of like demonizing the opposition, is using religion as well, which we can see in even in Israel. Like even like inside Israel's government, they have had a really fierce like battle just a while back. And I know people from the IDF, and they're atheists, which is easy way to pit people against each other. 100%. Religion is the most effective shield and sword at the same time. You can pit people against each other because they belong to a different religious group. And even inside your own religious group, they believe in a separate section of your holy book. Like, we don't even need to, like, think that much deeper. Let's go to Belfast. We can see that Protestants and Catholics, both Christians, kill each other based on what they believe. So yeah, one chatter yesterday said that religion is root of all evil. I wouldn't go as far to say that, because I think religion has done a lot of good things in the world. But I do agree that a lot of bad things around the world are being justified by religious reasons. And again, individual people who want to have solace and want to have comfort of believing that there's something after you die, I have no issue with that. I think that's okay. Because like death might be scary and you need to have that comfort that there's something after that. That's okay. But if you come to me and say that that child deserves to die because God told me to, or because he believes in the wrong God, or their mother did heresy or something like that, yeah, then I have an issue, you know. Then I have an issue. Or that you say that gay people don't have the right to exist because my holy book says so. Yeah, then I have an issue. Like, the fuck is wrong with you? I believe every religion should be removed, and only God should be Mother Earth, and only duty should be world peace and rights, so every organism don't laugh. No. Sorry. Well, how did you know that I would laugh? I didn't laugh at that statement. I laughed at because that was such a good statement. But like, and also a bit more extreme that I said. What I said. That like, you probably know this already, that I try to be a bit in the middle of everything. So all of my statements aren't that extreme. But what you said was like what I would say if I would be blunt. That's why Shinto was kind of nice to find out, like when I was younger, like the reason why traditional Japanese religion values the ground and water and nature so well is because they believe it is God, and you need to take care of that. And when you die, you become a part of that ecosystem. You become a part of God, which is technically not religion. That's more like biology. That's technically science. So it's not a bad religion. Like, even though that would be a belief as well, but it's not a bad belief to have. We Hindus have festival during Diwali, where we worship mountains for providing us with rich minerals and agricultural lands. I have a lot of videos from Diwali festivals because my friends sent me a lot of video, because I was super interested. That was the first time that I had, like, they were back in India during Diwali, because they haven't been able to travel in a while. So I got some video footage of like all the celebrations. So it was really cool to see. And I've learned a lot about Hinduism and Buddhism about them. Value their friendship quite a lot. I can't wait to go there. They promised to take me on a road trip to Kashmir and to the northern parts of India, to the Himalayas, and like with motorcycles to drive around the northern parts of the Himalayas, go to like Nepal and places. They've done that road trip many times, and I've seen videos even. There was a landslide a few months ago in the Himalayas, and my friend got stuck there because the landslide completely took off the road that they were riding on. Come during a holy festival. That is the best festival to play and enjoy. That's one thing as well. Like, you guys have a lot of festivals there, so. But the best time, everybody said that if you want to go there, that it's not that bad. Like, because I come from Finland, so there are times of the year that you don't want to go to India because it's quite hot and moist there. But one of the best times to go there oh my god, I think they said that because the summer in here in North, it's in May to September technically. But a lot of people have been telling me to go there during like October, November, December. It's like not the most moist season that they have. All right, but that's going to be enough for today. We're going to continue tomorrow again. Thanks everybody for keeping me company in TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. We'll see you guys tomorrow.